And, there's a lot of slick marketing out there from the credit card companies and a lot of ads as we watch YouTube videos. And so I saw this one from Credit Karma. So we wanted to play it for you and get your live reaction, Ken.
Oh, this is very
He's
exciting.
never seen this.
Never seen it before.
Let's roll this Credit Karma ad.
All right, here we go.
What are you doing?
I'm applying for a credit card on Credit Karma. They have this thing called the Karma Guarantee. It's sort of like a card fairy. If you apply for a credit card that has the Karma Guarantee and you don't get approved, the card fairy will slip $50 under your pillow.
Is he coming tonight?
Nope. Just got approved. The card fairy will just have to rummage around in someone else's fridge. Get approved or get $50 on offers with the Karma Guarantee.
Ah, how heartwarming.
Wow, it's so precious. We have the
cute little girl.
The little angelic voice. What you doing, Dad?
The creepy wizard man.
And so the whole thing is like someone's going to come save you. You know?
And I love the idea that if you don't get approved for one of these credit card offers, because that would mean you're in such bad financial shape, even credit card companies are going, nope.
Yeah.
Then Credit Karma will give you $50.
Right.
Put it under your pillow.
Yeah, that's the thing that was sickening. And I got to tell you, the other thing that it does, the thing that really bothers me is they're playing to kids. Kids are in the room while mom and dad are watching TV. And what's really insidious about this is, and I mean insidious, is that they're normalizing credit and credit cards to little kids who don't even have the foggiest idea what it really means. That's what's really, and I'm telling you, I can see it right now, that there are marketing agencies that do all this stuff for these companies. They're sitting in there going, okay, we have a couple things we want to accomplish here, right? And don't think for a second that the Credit Karma executive said, hey, try to make it this, and let's kind of, they are pounding this into.
Very intentional.
It's very intentional to create normalcy. Remember, folks, marketing is all about removing your objections to anything, right? It's why, like, we're sitting there watching sports the other night with my boys, watching a football game. Commercials come on, and first thing, it's one of these pharmaceutical companies. Same tactics. Do you have dry mouth, sore neck, and itchy feet? I'm going, well, I got 2 of the 3. What's wrong with me?
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
There's nothing wrong with me. But it's like it's a normalizing of activity, a normalizing of symptoms, normalizing drugs, normalizing debt. I got to tell you, folks, these people are very talented.
Well, and I'll tell you what's happening.
It's a game, and you are in the matrix. And until you wake up, you're going to be susceptible for this. I got to tell you, shame on that. That is so ridiculous. It drives me nuts.
And here's how this works, Ken, because Credit Karma is partnering with all of these credit card companies, and so they're offering up Discover and American Express and all of these different offerings, and they get kickbacks if you sign up. And so they must be making buku bucks if they're just throwing out $50 bills for anyone that gets denied.
Not to mention the ad development and the ad buy. Now let's just go to where we are real time. All right, George?
Let's go to reality, Ken.
In my hands right here, a CBS News article. Here's where we stand and why Credit Karma is thriving. The average credit card rate in the U.S. is now more than 22%. It's the highest since 2019. This is according to LendingTree data. For people who carry a balance, the average rate is 18.4%, according to the Federal Reserve. Ouch. And so with inflation, tightening people's everyday activities, instead of reducing expenses, increasing responsibility, more discipline, what do people do? Well, inflation's more than my pay raise, so I got to use a credit card.
You sound just like them, Ken. That was an amazing impression.
Well, no, that's actually the inner character. What was that Disney movie that it was like a thing that had all these little emotions and they became like characters? That's what that emotion sounds.
Inside Out. Thank you from producer
James on top of it because he's got the littles at home. He knows. But that's that same sniveling victim-type personality. I think that's what they sound like.
Yeah.
Is that inner voice.
The headline of this article is Inflation Slammed Americans Are Piling on Credit Card Debt. It goes on to say, searing inflation is driving Americans to make more purchases on their credit cards, leading them to amass more debt that is becoming costlier as the Fed hikes interest rates.
All right, so you know what the number is, George?
Hit me.
$887 billion in credit
You're
card
taking my breath away,
debt.
Ken.
That's up 13% from a year ago. Up
We're heading up to $1 trillion.
13%.
Well, we hear about the student loan crisis, and the number you hear is $1.7 trillion, which means we are halfway there in credit card debt alone.
Nearly 6 in 10 Americans who earn less than $50,000 a year carry a credit card balance from month to month.
But Ken, everyone I talk to says, well, I pay it off every month, Ken. What's wrong with hanging on to my credit card?
I'll
pay it off.
That's a very good question, George. You have no margin. All right.
Bingo.
So you start looking at. I was looking at some data today. I was reacting to a viral TikTok video on the Ken Coleman Show, and where a TikToker went out there and said, "Look, if you make $25 an hour or less, you ought to be terrified, as if life is over." Okay. Now, I want people to make more than $25 an hour. In fact, I commit my entire professional life to. You can make way more than that. Here's how. I want you to make more. However, it was so doom and gloom. So I looked into the numbers. He had this spreadsheet basically showing that a person who makes $25 an hour can barely make ends meet in today's America. Well,
what's on the spreadsheet? A bunch of debt?
The car payments. And he had $400 as the average car payment. You and I both know it's actually $667
it's gone up and up. It's over
for new
$700
cars.
now.
It's $519 for used cars. I looked it up today. And I also looked up that the median income right now in America per week is just over $1,000 a week. So what happens is you do have a lot of people who are really squeezed, but they're squeezed not just from income, but they're really squeezed by expenses. Because all of a sudden, if you take out that $500, $600, $700 car payment, and by the way, that's the average. We saw a TikTok recently, I think James showed it to us, where people were like gleefully bragging on these TikToks. I have a car payment of $1,200 a month. You remember
They all
that?
work for car dealerships.
They work for car dealerships, and it's like it's mind-numbing, George.
Well, and it goes back to this whole thing that we've normalized all of this through marketing. It's
Well,
all
of
around
course.
you. Everyone you know has payments.
That's right.
It's in every commercial.
Well, it starts with this little girl. Hey,
Yes.
Daddy, I'm gonna have $1,000 car payment one day, and it's just insanity. It's like the Pied Piper leading people off the cliff. I mean, what are we doing here?
Well, it does start with the parents.
Do you want more voices, George?
All of them, Ken.
Okay, great.
You could do a one-man show at this point on Broadway.
All right.
So here's what this turns into. You mentioned it, Ken, but yes, you can make more income, and income can be an issue. But we have villainized every company for not paying us enough. All the while, we're throwing thousands of dollars a month to lenders.
We're not doing a good job
And
with
somehow
what they
they're not
are
the bad
paying
guys.
us. The answer is not pay me more, and I'm all for you making more. The answer is what are we doing with what we have?
Yes, and the truth is when you look down, you go, oh, it's all going to lenders who are building really big buildings and sponsoring every stadium in North America today.
Isn't that the truth?
So how about we leave our own legacy and put our own names on some buildings and get out of debt once and for all? These credit card companies are not your friend. Debt is not a tool. And the truth is credit cards have become the cigarette of the financial world. We all used to think it was cool, and now we know too much. And here we are in $887 billion of credit card debt going, I don't understand how we got here. I thought the credit card companies were my friend. I go on free vacations, Ken.
Yeah.
I get my points.
Yeah.
I'm beating the system.
No,
because life happens, and you don't have an emergency fund, and you're not hitting your financial goals. And so what do? We turn to the credit cards to be our savior, and then they transform, Ken, before our eyes into a devil instead of the angel.
You know, I got to tell you, for all of the wokeism and all of the people outraged by the bad people of society, it's high time the American people, the average person, whether you're conservative, progressive, liberal, or whatever, wake up and go, the actual bad guys are the credit card companies. It's predatory lending is what it is.